Welcome to today's Academic Advisor Forum, Transfer Advising Essentials, What's New? My name is Ross Hawkins. I'm the Director of the Academic Advising and Transfer Center. I'm happy to see so many of you joining us for today's Advisor Forum. Before we get started with the Advisor Forum, just a couple quick announcements as always. Our next Academic Advisor Forum is actually tomorrow, Managing Concerning Student Behavior. The Advisor Forum will be our first seated Advisor Forum for the fall semester. It will be in PSU 313. Dr. Andrea Weber, Assistant VP for Student Affairs and Dean of Students, as well as Gabby Catlin and Todd Revel, will be presenting on managing concerning student behavior. So I hope to see many of you in person at tomorrow's Advisor Forum. We will pause after tomorrow's Advisor Forum for the month of November, since I know everyone's getting busy with student advising appointments, and we'll return in December for 2 additional Advisor Forums. Monday, December 2nd, Fast Track Futures Advising for Accelerated Graduate Programs. So that will be the Advisor Forum that we partner with the Graduate College on. And then our final Advisor Forum for the semester will be on Zoom, Thursday, December 5th, Mindful of Neurodiversity. We are opening up that Advisor Forum to MCHHS, which is the Missouri Academic Advising Association. So hopefully there will be many of us from Missouri State on that Zoom meeting, but we'll also have individuals from around the state joining us for that as well. So we're excited about that opportunity. I'm sure all of you know that midterm grades have been posted. So as always, please do what you can to reach out to your advisees, celebrate those students who are doing well, and then try to work and advise with those students who may have not done as well as they wish they have done. So I encourage outreach for great midterm grades, as well as those advisees who may be struggling a bit. The last announcement from me: on November 1st, we will open up the Excellence in Advising Awards process. So as always, we recognize 3 outstanding advisors in the spring semester: an outstanding professional staff advisor, outstanding faculty advisor. Both of those awards are undergraduate. And then we also have our outstanding graduate advisor awards. So the nomination process will run through November 1st through November 30th. You can nominate an advisor on campus, you can nominate yourself, and then obviously we will be making sure students are aware of the nomination process, since typically most of the advising nominations come from our students here at the university. So again, everyone, welcome to today's Advisor Forum. I am now going to turn it over to Ben Metzger, Associate Director in the Office of Admissions, who will kick us off. Ben?
All right. Thanks so much. We'll get started in my part of the presentation. So first, like Ross said, my name is Ben Metzger. I'm one of the Associate Directors in the Office of Admissions. My primary responsibility is overseeing the processing of applications and transcripts. I also have with me today Lori Day. Lori is one of our senior admissions evaluators, and one of her primary responsibilities is the evaluation and processing of undergraduate transfer credit. She's the person responsible for adding approved reevaluations to students' records. And the process that we're going to review today is an important one for many transfer students. It also contains a significant number of moving parts and different stakeholders. And so we're going to try and go through all those different parts and talk through this process from the perspective of those various stakeholders. Part of the reason why we're having this discussion is we are planning some updates to the TCRP system. We hope to have our updates ready for approvers by the end of the year, this calendar year, and we intend to have this ready for students and advisors in the spring of 2025 before registration opens. The old and new systems will be available simultaneously through the end of the spring 25. It's possible to temporarily keep both the old and the new systems open. The data for both the systems is the same. It's the user interface that's being updated. So as a reminder, there's various ways that people access the TCRP system and the TCRP data. Approvers, with the upgrades that we're doing, will continue to use the TCRP card. Advisors will use the student information menu. And later in this presentation, Campbell will review information specifically for advisors using this system. Students will continue to use the transfer resources card. The long-term goal is for the links to the new system to replace the old links to the old system. So people really won't notice a difference or a change. So what are some of the updates that are being made? All the forms are being streamlined and being made ADA compliant. A really big and significant change is now will be possible for syllabi to be attached to the student's request as a PDF. And the system will now be accessible for individual records through the student information menu. Basically, the opportunity that making updates to the forms and making the forms ADA compliant was an opportunity for us to add some new functionality to the system. Since this is an advisor forum, I think it's really important to point out one thing that's not going to change. Students are still required to receive an advisor release prior to submitting a request through the TCRP system. So let's talk about the student experience. When students access this system through the transfer resources card, we do provide them with some instructions about what they're going to do. As a side note, we're only covering the reevaluation system today. We're not covering the pre-approval system, though the intent is to give the pre-approval system some of those same form updates that the reevaluation system is getting. So we tell them the purpose of the form in that first paragraph. We tell them the difference between the pre-approval system and the reevaluation. We tell them about the link to the course catalog, and we give them guidelines for transferring credit to Missouri State. When they access this form, students, the first thing they're going to do is select the transfer institution of the course that they want to request a reevaluation for. It's worth pointing out that the screenshots that we're gonna share throughout this presentation are sections of the form. We've basically cut down the forms to present here so that you can see what's on the form. The intention is really for the student to have a more seamless process, be clicking less next form, but to really have one form that they're scrolling through. We've cut it down into manageable screenshots for this presentation. Once a student selects a transfer institution, they'll then see a list of all the transfer courses that they have transferred to Missouri State from that institution, and they will select the specific course that they want to work with, that they want to work on a reevaluation for. When they select that course, they'll see some general information for the course. It'll tell them what that course is, the title of the course. They'll also be able to provide syllabus information, so they can either copy and paste in syllabus information into their request, or like we said, we've added the functionality for the student to be able to add a PDF to their request. That's great because the student doesn't have to struggle anymore to copy and paste information out of a PDF. They can just attach the PDF. Once they've provided that information, they're going to go and provide information about the MSU course or the reevaluation that they want to have done. So there's actually a lot of information or a lot happening on this section of the form. Here they're going to select from one of three different criteria. They can either request the course be reevaluated, as one specific Missouri State course, or they can request that the transfer course be reviewed or reevaluated as a general education area, or they can request that multiple transfer courses be reevaluated as one MSU course, or vice versa. They can also provide more information about their request, the reasons why they think this reevaluation should take place. They have a lot of flexibility to describe what they're requesting. So what happens next? Once a request is submitted, an email will be sent to the student and the student's academic advisor and any designated approver within the academic area. So let's talk about the approver experience. The students submitted their request. The next person to deal with the request would be the approver. Who are approvers? Approvers represent each academic area on campus. They receive the requests submitted by the students, and they have a couple options when they receive requests. Generally, they're either going to approve the request or they're going to deny the request. An approval may be for individual students, for that one individual student who made the request, or it can be for all students who transfer that same credit to Missouri State University after the request is approved. And the approvers can also deny the request. When approvers enter the system, the first thing they're going to do is select from the drop-down box, the select a search option drop-down box. They're going to select the departmental request option. Then they're going to see a drop-down box that's going to let them select their specific academic area for which they're an approver. There's a few other two other sets of criteria that they may request. There's a date range request feature, and then they can request based on a specific status of the approval, excuse me. Once they've selected the criteria on this section of the form, they'll then see a list of the outstanding requests that meet that search criteria. To review an individual request, they will select in the fifth column from the left, the column that says edit or review request. They'll select that icon, and then they'll see the information for that specific request. So they'll see the institution, the transfer institution, and the transfer course, and a little bit more information about that. Then they'll see the information about the MSU course that the student is hoping to have their course reevaluated for, and they'll see information about the status of the request. Then the approver will have the opportunity to make their decision on the request. They will make their decision, and then they can provide notes explaining their decision. They've got a lot of different options in this drop-down box. The main ones that they'll use, the most common ones, would be denied, or approved for all students, or approved. If a request is approved, an advising note will be added to the student's record, and an email will be sent out from transfer admissions at missouri-state.edu. An example of that advising note would be, and this would be for an approval, an undergraduate transfer credit for, and then the course designation and the course name was approved for this student only for the course, and then the course MSU course designation, and who made the decision, the first name and last name of the person making the decision. If a request is denied, an advising note will be added to the student's record as well. An example would be an undergraduate transfer credit for this course. The course name was denied for the specific course by the person making the decision, and including the notes made by the person making the decision. In this example, this course should be reevaluated as, please resubmit as that course. The final part of this process is if there's ever any changes to the list of verified approvers within an academic area, that change should be sent directly to Lori Day at missouri-state.edu. So let's talk about the admissions part of this. When approvers have made their decisions, admissions must still update the student's record and potentially the database that is behind the transfer equivalency guide. It's important to highlight that this is not an automated process. Just like the approvers must review each request individually, the approver's decision has to be processed individually. So which actions are taken depend on the decisions made by the approver. When admissions accesses this form, we pick a set of criteria to get us the list of approval requests that we're going to process. Looks very similar to what the approvers see. Once we select those criteria, we see the list of approvals that we're going to work through. Within the transfer credit system, there's a key that helps us kind of determine the meaning of the information on that previous list I just showed. So what does our process look like? We process approved requests twice a week. However, there are a few times a year that we experience significant backlogs. One example would be when we return from winter break. If you work with this process at all, please be sure to say thank you to Lori. She works really hard to make the admissions part of this process work smoothly. She is the primary contact within admissions for this process. We really appreciate her work on this process. If a request is waiting on a departmental approval, it's okay to contact admissions if it has been outstanding for 2 or more weeks. We'd be happy to help determine if there's a technical or procedural reason for the delay. So if you're seeing a delay, give it a couple weeks, and then please feel free to contact us. Please send those questions to transferadmissions@missouri-state.edu, and we would be happy to take a look at them. And now I'll hand things over to Campbell.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Campbell Keele. I am the coordinator of transfer initiatives in the Academic Advising and Transfer Center. You are going to hear a lot from me today, so I apologize in advance. I have lots of updates to share with you all, but the first thing I wanted to share is what all of the changes that have been outlined for this TCRP system will mean for you all, academic advisors. The most important update and change here is that you all as advisors will be able to access the TCRP system, which is huge. So previously advisors could not access the TCRP system unless you were a previous student at Missouri State with transfer credit. And even then, you'd only be able to access the TCRP system to make requests for your own credit, or perhaps take some screenshots or things for instructions for students that you worked with. But now any advisor will be able to access the TCRP system, and with that access comes 2 really exciting features. The first feature is that advisors will be able to submit requests on behalf of students if they wish to do so. So any advisor can submit a request through the TCRP system for any student. No advisor release or advisor assignment is necessary. So that is an important distinction from what Ben mentioned previously. With students, if they want to access the TCRP system, they do have to have that advisor release before they can go in the system. For advisors, if you want to submit a request for a student before giving them an advisor release, you certainly can. Again, that's optional, but if you wish to do so, you have the ability to do so with this new system. The other important feature for advisors will be the ability to view the status of any request submitted through that TCRP system. So I'm going to walk through what both of those new features will look like for advisors so you all can see what the new experience will be. So when it comes to submitting requests, I won't spend a lot of time on this feature because it's pretty similar to what the student experience will be. The important thing to note is that you'll access it through a different way though. So Ben mentioned previously that advisors will be able to access the TCRP system through the student information menu, and that's where you will go to submit that request. So when you go to the student information menu, after the new system rolls out, it will look like this. You'll want to start by doing the ID selection up at the top and selecting the student that you want to proxy for this request. So you can look them up by their M number or their first and last name as you would any other student for any other feature in the student information menu. And once you have that student selected, you'll want to go to the TCRP 2.0 submit request for reevaluation link that's been highlighted. Once you do that, the system will be the exact same as it was for the student. So you'll have the ability to select their transfer institution. You'll have the ability to select the course that you want reevaluated and work through the form just as you would previously for that student. And then it will go through the entire rest of the system as been outlined before. It will go to the approver, it will go to the admissions office, and it will get processed just as it would have if you were the student submitting that request. So that's the first feature. The second feature will be the ability to track requests. And this will look a little different, so I'll spend a little bit more time going through that. If you want to track requests for students through the TCRP system, you will still access that through the student information menu. The important difference here is that you will not select the ID selection student option there. You'll go straight to the Manage TCRP 2.0 link that's highlighted at the bottom of the student information menu. When you click that link, it's going to take you to a box that will say Undergraduate Transfer Credit, Reevaluations, and Preapprovals. You'll have several different options in the drop-down menu, but you'll want to select Student Request. And when you select Student Request, you'll have the ability to look up a student by their M number or their name. And you may have noticed throughout this that Lori has been our sample student. Part of her other duties is assigned, so I selected Lori in this feature here and was able to see all of the requests that Lori or someone on the behalf of Lori has submitted through the system. As advisors, you won't have the ability to edit the request or do any of those other things that approvers do unless you are also a designated approver within your area, but you will be able to see what the system looks like for approvers or for admissions. And you as an advisor will want to pay attention to a few different columns. So the first is the processed by admissions column. If that says yes, then you'll know it's made its way through the entire system, has been processed by admissions, and the decision, whether yes or no, has been implemented. If the processed by admissions column says no, then you'll want to pay attention to the date and time that it was submitted. As Ben mentioned earlier, if the request has been outstanding for 2 or more weeks, you are welcome to email the transfer admissions at Missouri State inbox in order to have admissions take a look at it and see if they can figure out if there's a reason for that delay. The last change that I want to mention is not necessarily a new feature, but is different communication with advisors with this new system. So previously, advisors did not receive communication when a request was submitted. After consultation with our transfer advising committee, we determined that we would like some additional communication. So that is a new feature being rolled out. And if you are the assigned advisor for a student, you will receive an email when that request is submitted, regardless of who submitted the request. And you'll receive an email after the request has been processed. So that's just a way for that increased transparency to happen. And the transfer advising committee was a great help with that. So shout out to them. The last feature here that I want to highlight for advisors is not necessarily something that's changing, but important to note that it is staying the same. An advising note will continue to be put on the student's account as been outlined earlier with the decision and the rationale behind that decision. So a lot of new changes with our TCRP system for everyone who interacts with the system. So I did think that it was important before we pivot to a new conversation topic for the forum to mention that we do anticipate some questions, and that's totally fine. If you have any questions with the new system as it rolls out or before it rolls out, you are welcome to direct your questions to one of two inboxes. If you are an advisor, you'll want to direct your questions to the transfer advisor at missouri-state.edu inbox. And if you're a student or an approver or work with a student and they have questions, you'll want to have students and approvers direct their questions to transfer admissions at missouri-state.edu. Both inboxes are monitored regularly, and we'll make sure that we do our best to answer your questions in a timely manner. Okay, perfect. So that is the TCRP updates. That is a huge update. So we wanted to spend a pretty substantial amount of time talking about it, but there are also some pretty substantial updates happening all across campus in relation to advising or transfer advising at different levels. So you'll be hearing from me a little bit, but you'll also be hearing from our transfer advising committee as far as what those changes are with the various colleges. If you're not familiar with the Transfer Advising Committee, I chair that committee, and then there are 6 other representatives from every college on campus. They really are a fantastic group. I don't feel like they get the recognition they deserve sometimes, so I'm really excited that you'll get to hear from them today. They'll introduce themselves and they'll walk through the various changes that are happening within their college. Unfortunately, Nick could not be with us today. Nick is our RCASH representative. He's an instructor and academic advisor within RCASH, so I will be sharing his updates on his behalf. So Nick wanted to share the biggest update within RCASH, the Center for Student Success. So if you did not know, the Reynolds College Center for Student Success is now up and running as of August 1st. And within that center, they're focused on having a welcoming space for their students to do a lot of different things, including learn about different opportunities or events within the college, meet with other students, or meet with a professional academic advisor. The Center for Student Success will advise FitNIC or first-time new in college students in all of the different majors that you see outlined here. Those majors fall within various departments or schools across the RCASH Center. So you'll see communication studies, public relations, religious studies, design, art education, anything in between there. And so if you do encounter a FitNIC student who wants to major in any of those, please feel free to refer them to the Center for Student Success. An important distinction that Nick wanted to make sure I made was that transfer students will continue to be referred to the designated transfer advisor within their program of interest. So for transfer students, they will be provided an individual's contact information and they will continue to meet with that person rather than being referred to the Center for Student Success. There are a few departments and schools, I should say, that have not made any changes with their advising structure. So Nick asked me to highlight that for all of you as well. So the criminology department is now the School of Criminology and Criminal Justice. If you were familiar with that department, now school, you'll know John Hall, and John is continuing to advise all criminology majors within that school, regardless of whether they're transfer or FitNIC. The Communication, Media, Journalism, and Film Department did implement some changes to their advising structure. So as you noticed on the previous slide, some of the majors within that department are now being advised by the Center for Student Success. However, faculty will continue to advise junior and seniors within that department, as well as some freshmen and sophomores, depending on the major. The last update from Nick is that the Department of Political Science and Philosophy, where Nick works, will maintain its current advising structure, and that advising structure is split between 2 advisors. So Nick advises all of the political science undergraduate majors, and Michael Boyle advises all of the philosophy undergraduate majors. So that will continue to be the same. And I thought that the RCASH updates would be a perfect segue to the Academic Advising and Transfer Center updates, and I will share that in a moment. Again, coordinator of transfer initiatives within that office, so I will be detailing some of the updates that have occurred within our center. But before I do that, I just wanted a reminder of who we all work with within the AATC. So we advise undeclared students, pre-professional students, Bachelor of General Studies, Fair Power, conditionally admitted, and individualized major students. And I mentioned that the RCASH updates were a good segue for the AATC updates because our biggest update is that Darren Weinberg and Teresa Cunningham moved from the AATC to the RCASH Center for Student Success. So I have personal experience with both Darren and Teresa. They're fantastic to work with, and I know that our RCASH students are in good hands with them. However, that has meant that we needed to restructure a little bit as far as who does what in our office and the points of contact for those tasks. So I want to go through that with the rest of my time today. So with our pre-professional advising, I meet with the transfer students, and just a quick side note on what we mean by pre-professional advising. If a student is pre-med, pre-law, pre-dentistry, pre-anything, we consider those students pre-professional and they'll go through our office first. So I'll meet with those transfer students. Our FitNIC pre-professional students are split among the rest of our center, which includes Gates, Jenny, Ross, Justin, and Kim. And for pre-college advising, Gates and Jenny will work with these students. So you're welcome to refer our pre-college students or pre-college questions to Gates and Jenny. And I have the additional points of contact that I wanted to highlight here too. So our Academic Connections Fair point of contact is Justin Johns. Justin is the Associate Director within the office. Kim, our coordinator for student success initiatives, will continue to be the point of contact for Bear Power and conditionally admitted students. Ross, our director, will continue to be the point of contact for the Master Advisor program. Katie, our fabulous, wonderful administrative specialist, will continue to be the point of contact for change of major updates. Individualized major students or questions should go to Ross or Justin. I mentioned Gates and Jenny are the pre-college advising advisors in our center. OTC will continue to go to the incomparable Donna Redman, and any transfer advising questions or transfer anything will go to me, and that will continue to be the same. So speaking of restructuring and new centers and whatnot, I am going to turn it over to the wonderful Kimmy Walker.
Thank you so much, Campbell. All right, so we are the Darr College of Agriculture, and I am the director for our brand new Student Success and Advisement Center. We are a small but mighty staff of two. It is myself and Katie Seary. Katie has been advising on campus for a while now as well. She most recently came from hospitality leadership and was brought into the College of Ag with that restructuring. She is fantastic, and we both are really excited to be in this college. This is how we are currently splitting the majors. It is primarily that I am working with the School of Hospitality and Agricultural Leadership, and Katie is primarily working with our School of Agricultural Sciences and Environmental Sciences. And so you'll see here, we do both advise animal science, and with that, we're splitting them. It is by far our largest major and something that we both want to stay up to date on. And so we also advise for minors and certificates through that. And then how that is relevant to transfer students. So any student joining the College of Agriculture will come through our center, whether that is a first-time new in college student, whether that is transfer students, or even major changes. They'll first start with either Katie or myself as their advisor. We will keep them until they've had at least 45 hours and met with us for a first full semester. And so that's going to be 2 full meetings with us. So they'll be planning likely a full academic year with us. Our students do enroll in AGR 301 in fall semesters. An orientation course is required by every College of Ag major, and that is a major requirement, not just the general education requirement. So we do have our transfer orientation that helps us capture those transfer students. It can be satisfied by a transfer GEP 101 equivalent, or if Core 42 is waived, it may depend on the program. All of our majors do require electives, and so it is often still recommended because we do a lot of resume work, LinkedIn work, just stuff to help them really get diving into their internships or professional development, whatever that may be. To contact us, you are welcome to visit us in Carls Hall 201. We do have a departmental email set up, Ag Advisement. And we also have a brand new website set up. It's still, it's a little bit minimal right now, but we are building it as we go. And so you're welcome to visit us there. We do have our Calendly booking links on there. Students are welcome to directly book with us. They don't have to contact us first or anything. They're welcome to just hop on there and book an appointment. Our majors are listed under those as well, so they can see who they're supposed to be meeting with. Our phone number, and then we are available on Teams to chat if you ever have questions. We hope you'll reach out. We're really excited to have a center to build this up and to just join you all in our advocacy for students.
Hello, I am Evonne Bird, and I'm representing the Macquarie College of Health and Human Services Advisement Center, and we do miss Kimmy not being in our office anymore, but we'll share what we're doing to move along from there. So we are in Camp Peter, room 102, a little far for students to travel, but they make it here and they find us. Although once in a while they end up at Kemper Hall, so they have a little challenge sometimes with that. So our staff right now, Hillary is our director, and then all of our advisors there. Sharon Harder will be starting November 1 as an advisor, and we are certainly, we are still searching for one more position to have a full staff in our center. And then we will be searching for a new administrative assistant as well for our office. And we don't have our topics of what we're advising currently there, because with new staff, we're probably going to be shifting that. So if you don't know who to send someone to, just send them to the MCHHS advisement at missouri-state.edu, or they can call us and we'll make sure they get set up an appointment with the appropriate person. So some of the updates that I wanted to share, we do have a new major in our college. It is a Bachelor of Science in Esports. And we also have an esports certificate, but that's been ongoing. That's been there for a while, but this is a new major, the BS in Esports. We have a couple of name changes. So instead of Sport, Park, and Recreation Administration, it is Sport and Recreation Administration. And there are some number changes, so the prefix numbers are changing for that. And then exercise and movement science is now exercise science. They are staying with their kin prefixes, in case you're wondering for that. And then we have the Alliance going on. So the Alliance has been big news. So in the fall, starting, we're hoping to increase the number of seats we have for our BSN program. So our nursing students will have more options. They will have 2 campuses. We'll have the MSU campus and then what will be called the Alliance campus. And you see the abbreviation, the ALLC, will be what we use for that. As far as advising goes in our office, we do a hybrid model. So we see the students the first couple of years and then they transfer to faculty after that. And that depends on the program at what point they transfer to faculty. For transfer students specifically, we want to see them in our center first. So we see them at least one time, and then depending on how many transfer credits they have or whether they've been admitted to the program, then we determine at what point do they get switched to the faculty after that. And with all of our restructuring, we have had significant changes in who is approving the transfer credits. So we have sent that to Lori. So hopefully all of this system will be going smoothly and we'll have the right people getting access to the approval of who that needs to be.
Alrighty, so hello. For College of National Applied Sciences, my name is Dylan Earnshaw. I'm a senior academic advisor in the Student Success Office of CNAS. Starting with our department updates. So we used to have 8 departments, but as Kimmy mentioned, hospitality and leadership has moved over to the College of Agriculture. So we now have 6 departments in one school. We have biology, the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, computer science, the cooperative engineering program that we have with Missouri S&T, our math program, our physics, astronomy, and material science program, and then the School of Earth, Environment, and Sustainability, which used to be the Department of Geography, Geology, and Planning. Some updates within those. So chemistry has had the name change to Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, adding that biochemistry just to highlight the biochemistry emphasis area that program provides. Another big update, so computer science and math, they are now offering a new major in data science, which is an interdisciplinary program between the computer science department and the mathematics department. This program has students taking courses in both disciplines. We still do offer the computer science route, which incorporates a math minor. And that math minor has students going through Calc 2, Math 280. With this new major, it maintains much of the CSC core curriculum while adding additional math coursework that extends past Math 280. So start taking your linear algebra, your multivariate calculus, and a lot of math or computer science electives just kind of based off students' preference. It is a non-comprehensive degree, so students will still be needing a minor. So if any of your colleges have any minors that you feel would be blend well with that data science major, definitely encourage you to let myself know. I can pass that along to students as I meet with them or as CNAS faculty do. For our SEAS program, so School of Earth, Environment, and Sustainability has that name change. It used to be Geography, Geology, and Planning. That's name change better encapsulates the terminology that students use when wanting to go into one of these majors. So some of those buzzwords, it's really kind of hard to describe what geography is, what geology planning was. So we feel the new name change is just better, more appropriate to what the majors encapsulate. And of course, those majors are still maintaining the same names. We have geology, we have geography and sustainability, geospatial, we have a community and regional planning, of course, the earth science education pathway. And I believe we'll be also adding a new major in it's an interdisciplinary major of tourism with College of Agriculture. So more info on that down the road, I think. For our advising model, so CNAS does not have a full advisement center. Rather, we have academic advisement, which takes place through the cooperation of our student success office and the departments. So all departments still have faculty advisors in various capacity. For our transfer students, department heads or the school director in C's case of each department sees transfer students, with the only exception being biology, where our transfer students are referred to Angela Plank, and then computer science, where transfer students are referred to Dylan Welker in our office. Yeah. So then speaking of our office, so CNAS, Student Success Office, has 3 full-time staff advisors, being myself, Sophia Reidel, and Dylan Welker. I primarily advise all of our freshman, sophomore computer science students, so computer science through computer science 232, before we transition them over to a faculty advisor. Sophia will work with all of our pre-optometry, pre-vet, and pre-pharmacy students through our biology program. And then Dylan Welker will work with all of our cooperative engineering students up until they're admitted to SNT. So that admittance point is after they've taken 30 credits, they've maintained the appropriate GPA, and they've taken our Calc 2 and Physics 203 course. So once they've met those requirements, they're transitioned to Missouri SNT staff advisor to kind of help them finish out the rest of their program. And then just outside of advising, the Student Success Office, we aid in CNAS marketing, recruitment, retention. And so like our office works with SOAR in the summer. We work with admissions and tabling the college fairs for CNAS. We work with the Career Center and like planning the Career Expo. Our college also hosts its own events, which focus a lot on middle school and high school students coming in to kind of have that recruitment factor. So we aid with like the Regional and State Science Olympiad, the Missouri Junior Academy of Science, and then individual departments also have their own events, like math, for example, has the Pummel Relays, which we try to get in and help with that. But really, yeah, for CNAS, our office is very much an open door policy. So if you have any students interested in any of our CNAS programs and you aren't really sure where to send them, you can send them to our office, which is currently Blunt Hall 147. It will be moving with the renovations, which I'll talk about in just a second, but we would love to see them and just kind of help them find their way. So then just some real quick construction updates on Blunt Hall. Renovations are well underway. The new addition is progressing nicely. We have renovations to the existing space have also begun. The first move is planned for just a couple of months from now. When we move in December, that'll be the Dean's office, as well as the Student Success Office will be opening in December, and that'll just be on the first floor of the new addition. The new addition is expected to be finished, I believe, fall of 25, and then the entire project has an anticipated finish date end of 25 by start of 26. So sometime in 26, but yeah, that's what I have for CNAS.
Hello, advising friends. So for those of you that I don't know personally, my name's Kristen. I'm the Assistant Director for our Education Advisement Center. We have just a couple updates for today. So one change is the CACT program, or our Special Education Alternative Certification track. is now housed within the Education Advisement Center. So we advise that program. This is an option for students to seek teacher certification in special education at the graduate level. So that can be really great for students who are transferring in maybe a lot of credits or who did something completely unrelated in their undergraduate studies and are wanting to get that teacher certification at the graduate level. We actually have two options for that. So one is the CACT for those who are seeking special education certification. The other is the Master of Arts in Teaching. So sometimes I work with students who are very close to finishing their undergraduate studies in an unrelated program, but they're interested in getting teacher certification. And so the MAT is also a great program for that. Within our office, we have a new advisor, Anne-Marie Hurdy. She is now seeing early childhood and elementary education students. So that brings our total advisors up to 5. So we're pretty fully staffed and excited about that. And then a big change this semester is our 2 majors, business education and family and consumer science. Those were previously 2 separate majors, but starting this fall, that will be 1 major, career and technical education, wherein they can select an emphasis for either business education or FACS. I think those were just kind of housed under 1 umbrella major, just because they do share quite a few courses. For our teacher certification students, there were some testing changes that happened this year. So for a student to become teacher certified, of course, they have to graduate from a teacher preparation program. So either one of our undergraduate teacher prep programs or those 2 graduate programs I mentioned. So they have to complete the program and they have to pass a state certification exam. Previously, that was the MOCA, which was offered by ETS. The state of Missouri decided to change that testing, and so now students are completing the praxis exam to seek that teacher certification. And then the removal of an entrance exam requirement. We used to require students to either have a 17 or higher on the ACT or an SAT score or some form of entrance exam, but that is no longer a requirement for students seeking education. Some other things I wanted to mention, just a shout out to our outreach elementary education program. So students who are wanting to teach elementary education can do so as a daytime seated program here on Springfield campus. But we do have students from a wide area across the state. And so we have 10 outreach campuses that also house elementary education. So West Plains, we've got the Nevada, Webb City, Cassville, and Neosho region, which with Miss Jill Stevens, who's on the Zoom. And we also have Camdenton, Lebanon, Waynesville, Republic, and Table Rock. So if you have students coming from those regions who are interested in elementary education, they're able to seek that program on those outreach campuses. And then our undergraduate Pathways for Paris program is really exploded over the last couple of years. So we have students in over 200 of the 515 schools in Missouri. And the Pathways for Paris program allows them to take online and evening Zoom classes while working as paraprofessionals in the schools. So this is a registered apprenticeship program wherein they can use the employment that they're getting at the schools towards their practicum and student teaching hours. So it's a really great way for our students to work and get that teacher certification. That can be a challenge in some of our other programs because a lot of our education programs are daytime seated. And I went through that quickly, I'm so sorry, but those are all the updates I have.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alisa Trotter. I'm the Assistant Director at the Business Advisement Center. Our center hasn't changed with changes coming about with advising. We've always had a dedicated advising center with professional advisors, and that is still the case. All of our advisors advise all majors with one exception. The mechanical engineering technology is a major that is advised by only a couple of advisors in our center. We had a lot of curricular changes that took place this fall. I couldn't mention them all here, but the most notable change was to the construction management major. That major no longer requires calculus. It used to require Math 287 or 261. Now the highest math that they need is Math 137 or higher. That is pre-calculus 2, of course, the 5-hour pre-calculus 138 would work just fine. We've had other changes to more so our upper division College of Business classes. I'm giving some examples here, but one popular major we have is cybersecurity. They changed the intro to cybersecurity class from ITC 560 to ITC 360. Another notable change is for the intro to Java class, ITC 260, it now requires that the student have math 134 or higher before taking that course. Other changes, now the Technology and Construction Management Department is a school. It's now called the School of Construction, Design, and Project Management. Part of the reason being that we added the digital fashion and merchandising major to that department. So that school now houses digital fashion and merchandising, construction management, interior design, and mechanical engineering technology. So that school and that major have gone through some big changes this fall. Okay, next. Just some things coming up soon, and I don't have any specifics on this, but we're going to review and very likely update the College of Business core requirements. Last year, we moved the economics department to our college, and we're just kind of reviewing all of that to see. It's been a while since those have been updated, so we're just reviewing that. We are also going to be reviewing the major requirements for the interior design major. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. I've got our QR code here. So we would love to meet with any students that are interested in business, major, minor. Free to scan the code, and that takes you to our You Can Book Me calendars, and all the advisors are listed there. And feel free to give that out to students, and we would love to meet with them.
All right, I would be remiss if I did not give a shameless plug for National Transfer Student Week. So this will be our final topic for today's forum. This week is National Transfer Student Week, if you did not know. So we very intentionally picked today as the day of our advisor forum to have some information to share with you all as those who work with transfer students. We have a full calendar of events for transfer students this week. We started off the morning by handing out 7 dozen donuts under 2 hours. So it was a very busy morning there, which was exciting. But we'll also have therapy dogs tomorrow afternoon, which is exciting. We'll have the opportunity for students to interact one more time in a social environment as a follow-up from our ice cream social in August. And this social will be Wednesday evening in the Office of Student Engagement. And we'll also have an opportunity for our transfer students to give back to the Springfield community by partnering with Tau Sigma, which is an honor society for transfer students, for a street cleanup on Saturday morning. So feel free to share that information with any transfer students that you work with. We'll be really excited to interact with them and see them throughout the rest of the week. But those are not the only things that we have going on this week. I would really encourage you to follow along on social media, both at Most State Advising, which is the Academic Advising and Transfer Center's Instagram account, as well as at Missouri State, the official Instagram account for Missouri State University, to witness all of the things that we have going on this week. We have an event for prospective students on Friday as a partnership with the Office of Admissions. So we'll be showcasing a little bit of Transfer Visit Day. We have an event this afternoon for our transfer students who live on campus. There's a Transfer Bears Living Learning Community in Kentwood Hall. So we'll have an event for them this afternoon. We also have an Adventures in Advising podcast featuring someone that you may know, talking about all things transfer this week to kick it off. But something that I really love about this week and really appreciate is just all of the opportunities to recognize our transfer students. So if you know Robert Thomas Gummersell, he's a current transfer student from OTC. He's taking over the Missouri State Instagram page all week to share his story, to share resources for transfer students, to have interviews with current transfer students and previous transfer students, including President Williams. And we'll have student spotlights not only on that Missouri State Instagram account, but on the Most State Advising Instagram account as well. So we'll be sharing 2 spotlights per day this week. This is just an example of what they look like. We shared Zachary's story this morning and he is phenomenal. So I would really encourage you to go out and read his story and check out the rest of the student spotlights that we'll have throughout the week. So, all right, that is all that we have. So we would love to see if you all have any questions for us.
Okay, Campbell, well, we'll give a couple more minutes for people to think of questions. In the meantime, I just wanted to say thank you to the Transfer Advising Committee, Ben from Admissions, for sharing all this information today for the Transfer Advisor Forum. It was really, really important and insightful. Thanks for celebrating transfer students, Transfer Advising Committee. I know you all work together to improve the transfer student experience on campus. So thank you for all of you do on that committee. It's a great group of individuals who are passionate about transfer students. I also want to mention again that today's advisor forum is being recorded and it will be posted on the Most State Advising YouTube channel. So if you know of anyone who could benefit from this transfer information, since I know we have a variety of transfer advisors on campus, please feel free to share within your academic units about this advisor forum. So I will pause again, and I don't think there's has been any questions. Oh, I see one. How will we be notified when the new TCRP system goes live?
I will take that so I don't start crying from all the nice things Ross was saying. So we are in the process of talking about how that communication will happen. So what we've already discussed, we will have emails sent out as these things go live to the appropriate individuals. We'll have announcements on Inside Missouri State, through My Missouri State, through blogs, etc. But if there are any other methods of communication that would be really helpful for you all, or you feel like would help reach a larger audience, let us know and we can absolutely add that to the list. But it is our intention, starting with today, to make this extremely transparent, make this extremely useful and user-friendly for everybody. So we'll be sure to communicate in as many different ways as possible when these things go live for you all.
Okay, any other questions?
No questions, but just a lot of comments about how awesome Lori is. So again, shout out to Lori. We love you, Lori. Thank you for everything that you do.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. Okay, well, thank you all for attending this advisor forum today. I hope to see many of you tomorrow at noon in PSU 313 for our first seated advisor forum for the fall semester. Thank you all. Bye.